Hello guys, welcome back to our anime moments. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel, thank you. Today is explanation of upcoming episode of Battle Through the Heavens based on novel. So let's start. You deserve to die. Whether the old me deserves to die is not up to you as a younger generation to evaluate with such arrogant words. Protector Wu smiled coldly and said, the old me is even able to capture Yao Chen, much less you, this useless disciple. Xiao Yan's expression was deadly. He waved his hand and the earth demon puppet, which was emitting a bright silver glow, flashed and appeared. A ripple rose around the black fog of Protector Wu when he saw the appearance of the earth demon puppet. A surprised voice was emitted, it is actually a puppet? It is unexpected that after so many years, you are still only able to rely on outside strength, Protector Wu, this puppet can match an 8-star do zone. However, you can rest assured that you can simply leave this puppet to the old me. All you need to do is capture this brat. Qianxi by the side smiled and spoke in a faint voice, in that case, I will trouble Elder Qianxi. Relax, once I capture this brat, the old me will hand him over to Elder so that you can vent your anger properly. Protector Wu laughed in a sinister manner after hearing his words. With Protector Wu's current strength, he might not be afraid of this puppet, but it would be somewhat troublesome to deal with. He could save a lot of effort if Qianxi were to intervene and restrain it. Relax, I don't require the puppet to deal with you. Ridicule flashed across Xiao Yan's eyes. He could sense that Protector Wu had also become much stronger when compared to back then. Based on his guess, he should be around the level of an 8-star do zone. This training speed was quite great. From the looks of it, capturing Yao Lao back to the Hall of Souls had really benefited him. The strength of the current Protector Wu was only a little weaker when compared to Qianxi beside him. However, just this alone was not enough to make Xiao Yan feel helpless. The person in front of him was the one he hated the most. If not for this person, Yao Lao would not have fallen into the hands of the Hall of Souls and suffered an endless amount of bitterness. Your tongue is as razor-sharp as it was before, Protector Wu faintly smiled. His foot immediately stepped forward. A clanging metallic sound was emitted from the black fog. Immediately, a black metal chain, with a black fog lingering over it, was extended from the black fog like a poisonous snake. It surrounded Protector Wu's body. A cold glint was flashing on the tip of the chain. Relax, you will be able to see Yao Chen again very soon. At that time, this protector will let that old fellow know that not a single person my Hall of Souls wants will be able to escape. Xiao Yan's expression was cold and indifferent. A jade-green flame slowly surged out of his body. His hand was clenched and the enormous heavy Xian ruler appeared. The heavy ruler was slightly inclined as it was pointed at Protector Wu. Xiao Yan said, your life will be taken by me today. Protector Wu merely laughed in a chilly manner in the face of Xiao Yan's words. Black fog surged and the dark black chain that lingered around him suddenly trembled. It immediately transformed into lightning as it shot straight towards Xiao Yan. Xiao Yan's hand tightly gripped the heavy ruler. His eyes did not contain even the slightest ripple. His feet were gently shifted as the black-colored lightning penetrated the sky, shooting toward to his shoulder. A jade-green flame lingered over the heavy ruler. Xiao Yan turned his wrist and the heavy ruler carried a hot fire glow and ruthlessly hacked at the chain. Under the high temperature of the glazed lotus heart flame, the strange, black fog that lingered over the chain swiftly disappeared. Protector Wu was slightly startled as he sensed the enormous force being transmitted from the chain. Immediately, he let out a cold smile. His 10 figures formed many afterimages. After which, one could hear wave after wave of the sizzling sound of rushing wind. 10 black-colored chains shot out of his body. They swiftly entangled in the air and formed a huge black chain spear. Go! A soft cry sounded and the enormous black-colored chain lance rushed forth in a lightning-like manner from the strange, black fog. It approached Xiao Yan within a flash. Xiao Yan's eyes narrowed when the black-colored chain lance disappeared. His legs swiftly took a couple of steps back. After which, his heavy ruler suddenly drew a couple of mysterious arcs, 6-joint body flowing ruler, 6-joint fire. Afterimages appeared as the heavy ruler was suddenly swung. A fire glow appeared on the top of the ruler. After which, it carried a sharp ruler glow and whizzed out. The ruler glow had just left the ruler when the space in front of it became distorted. An enormous chain lance broke through the air and revealed itself. It carried a frightening wind as it appeared in front of a countless number of gazes. Finally, it ruthlessly collided with that ruler glow. Bang! A shockingly loud sound appeared. A vast, mighty energy ripple spread out in a ring-like fashion. A silver glow flashed under Xiao Yan's feet as his body swiftly withdrew. A mere 2-star Dozong dares to collide head-on with this protector. You are really seeking death. Protector Wu gave a dense smile. The black glow on his finger flashed as it suddenly pressed against the empty air, split. After Protector Wu's voice sounded, the swiftly spreading energy ripple suddenly emitted the intense sound of splitting wind. Immediately, 10 black figures suddenly rushed over like black-colored lightning. Their target was all the fatal spots around Xiao Yan's body. Xiao Yan knit his brows slightly after sensing that his entire body had been locked onto. However, his great battle experience allowed him to avoid panicking. The heavy ruler in his hand danced and numerous ruler after images appeared in a densely packed manner, transforming into layer after layer of defenses. The black-colored chain shot against the ruler's shadow defense from all directions. It immediately emitted a continuous clear sound. Sparks swiftly flashed. Under the 10 black chain crazy attack, the spherical ruler shadow defense ball began to show signs of shattering forcing him to swiftly pull back. This brat is nothing after having lost his puppet. Qianxi was suspended in the air by the side. He involuntarily let out a cold smile as he shook his head when he saw Xiao Yan being continuously defeated. Disdain flashed across his eyes. The layers upon layers of ruler shadows swiftly disappeared following the crazy attacks by the black-colored chains. By relying on his own strength, Xiao Yan did indeed have difficulty fighting against an 8-star Dozong. Fortunately, his true fighting strength did not match the strength on his surface. When the final layer of ruler shadows disappeared, a bright silver glow surged out of his body. His body trembled and transformed into many afterimages that withdrew in a lightning-like fashion. The black-colored chains followed like shadows. Those afterimages had just appeared when these chains suddenly arrived and shattered them into nothingness. However, it was fortunate that Xiao Yan was faster than Protector Wu's fighting speed after having used the 3000 lightning movement. Xiao Yan, is this the ability you relied on to come to the Central Plains region? It is a joke if you wish to rescue Yao Chen with this strength of yours. A cold glint flashed across Protector Wu's eyes as he looked at Xiao Yan, who was as agile as a monkey. He immediately emitted a cold, ridiculing laugh. The silver glow flashed through the sky, and Xiao Yan appeared 100 meters away. He completely ignored Protector Wu's hooting as he raised his head and revealed a ferocious smile to Protector Wu. The seal formed by both of his hands suddenly changed. Skyfire 3 mysterious change, first change. Following the formation of the seal, a green-colored flame suddenly erupted from Xiao Yan's body before swiftly withdrawing again. Xiao Yan's aura suddenly soared when the green-colored flame shrank back into his body. Secret technique. Insignificant skill. Protector Wu let out a dark, cold smile in the face of Xiao Yan's soaring aura. He was completely unconcerned about it. This is the Burning Flame Valley Skyfire 3 mysterious change. Qianxi by the side was slightly startled after seeing Xiao Yan use this technique. After which, he cried out in surprise, Protector Wu, you should be careful. This Skyfire 3 mysterious change is the top-tier secret technique of the Burning Flame Valley. I do not know how it managed to land in this brat's hand. If this secret technique is unleashed until the third change, his strength would at least be raised by 3 stars. However, those who can use this secret technique to the third change can be counted with one's fingers even in the Burning Flame Valley. It's only 3 stars. This is insufficient to allow this brat to escape this protector's palm. That Protector Wu coldly laughed when he heard Qianxi's words. Xiao Yan acted as though he did not hear the conversation of these two. His face was indifferent. After which, his hand seal changed once again and a wave of invisible flame erupted from his body. Skyfire 3 mysterious change, second change. Xiao Yan's aura continued to soar after this invisible flame erupted. This time around, the expressions of even Qianxi and Protector Wu changed. This was because Xiao Yan's aura had currently already soared to the point where it was near the 6-star level. This brat actually possesses 2 types of heavenly flames. No wonder he manages to experience such a great increase in his strength when he uses the Skyfire 3 mysterious flame. Qianxi's expression slightly sank. A Skyfire 3 mysterious flames that consisted of 2 types of heavenly flame. This was something that even Tangzhen from the Burning Flame Valley didn't possess. No wonder he has the courage to come to the Central Plains. He does indeed possess a trump card, Protector Wu spoke. However, his heart gradually felt a little uneasy. This Skyfire 3 mysterious change had 3 changes. Xiao Yan had already reached the 6-star level after 2 changes. If he were to use it another time, would his strength not, at the very least, reach the 7-star level? It is rumored that each time a change of the Burning Flame Valley's Skyfire 3 mysterious change is used, the energy that is formed is extremely wild and violent. Even some of their elders don't dare unleash the third change. With this brat's ability, he should have yet to reach that level. Protector Wu felt a little relaxed after comforting himself within his heart. He was about to raise his head when he saw Xiao Yan on the opposite side changing the seal formed by his hands. His face instantly stiffened. Xiao Yan's eyes stared firmly at Protector Wu as his black fog was rapidly fluctuating. The ferocious smile on Xiao Yan's face was slowly widened. At the same time, a dense white-colored flame suddenly erupted from his body in front of a countless number of stunned eyes. Skyfire 3 mysterious change, third change. A dense white flame surged out of Xiao Yan's body in front of the many shocked eyes before it was immediately withdrawn, shrinking back into Xiao Yan's body with lightning-like speed. Following the return of the flame, an unusually powerful aura slowly erupted from Xiao Yan's body, as though it had just been awoken. The surrounding space began to fluctuate under this vast and mighty strength. Xiao Yan stood in the sky. His face was unusually bright red. Even his dark black eyes were covered by a wild and violent energy. This kind of fierce and untamed caused even Xiao Yan to quietly be surprised. He had not expected the eruption of 3 types of heavenly flames to create such a violent energy. Xiao Yan slowly clenched his fist with much difficulty. His entire body had become a little rigid due to the surging energy. This kind of rigidity lasted for a couple of minutes before Xiao Yan gradually became accustomed to it. What an overbearing Skyfire 3 mysterious change. After his body gradually adapted to this kind of wild, violent energy, even Xiao Yan could not resist gently inhaling a breath of cool air. If his body had not been refined by many natural treasures, it was likely that he could forget about using it to fight an opponent. He would suffer a backlash and die after having just used this thing. A mouthful of hot air was spat out of Xiao Yan's mouth. The flush redness on his face gradually paled. The wave after wave of pain that had been brought about by the circulating wild and violent energy gradually diminished. After being tempered by an unknown number of medicinal ingredients and natural treasures, the physical strength of Xiao Yan was likely something that even some experts at the peak of the Dozone class could not compare with. No wonder Tangjin instructed me to avoid using the 3 changes unless I have no choice. His words were indeed full of truth. Xiao Yan gently clenched his hand. He sensed the surging energy within his body and the corner of his mouth was slowly lifted into a slight arc. However, this kind of feeling, after having endured the pain, is indeed extremely splendid. Based on Xiao Yan's own guess, his current strength had likely reached the level of a 7-star Dozone. In other words, the Skyfire 3 mysterious change had caused his strength to raise 5 stars. If an ordinary Burning Flame Valley's elder were to completely unleash the Skyfire 3 mysterious change, he might be able to increase his strength by 3 stars or so. However, the Skyfire 3 mysterious change had an extremely unique and mysterious aspect. The increase in one's strength was completely determined by the strength of the flame. The stronger the flame, the greater the increase in one's strength. The 3 types of flames Xiao Yan had unleashed were all heavenly flames, the strongest of all flames. Hence, the increases, brought about by the eruption, were quite terrifying. Of course, the current increase in strength might be extremely great, but the sequelae that it would bring would naturally also be great. Fortunately, Xiao Yan's body was far stronger than an ordinary expert's body. Otherwise, just this eruption alone would have been enough to cause him to spend half a year or more recuperating. This transformation of Xiao Yan had also attracted the attention of Qian Huasunja and Qian Shuangzi, who were merely facing each other without fighting. Their gazes drifted over. Qian Huasunja nodded with a smile. Even he had difficulty knowing all the trump cards that Xiao Yan possessed. However, he also understood that this person might appear young, but anyone who really wanted to kill him would likely find the experience unbelievably difficult. Qian Shuangzi's eyes glanced over for a moment before slightly frowning. However, he did not pay much attention to the matter. Regardless of how strong the secret technique one used, that person would not be too much of a threat in his eyes as long as that person did not break through to the Dozon class. The only person whom he viewed seriously was Qian Huasunja in front of him. As for Xiao Yan, even if Protector Wu could not deal with him, there would naturally be Qian Shi and some Ice River Valley's elders intervening. He did not believe that a mere 2-star Dozone would be able to turn everything around even if he did possess the Burning Flame Valley's secret technique. Xiao Yan was naturally unaware of the thoughts in this old fellow's heart. After gradually adapting to the majestic, wild, violent energy within his body, he once again lifted up the heavy Xian ruler. He slightly raised his head and his eyes landed on Protector Wu, whose black fog had stiffened, and Xiao Yan then glanced at Tianxi beside him, whose expression had turned gloomy. All of this was because of his transformation. Xiao Yan finally parted his mouth and said, "Old fellow, I said that I would take this old life of yours today." The sluggish, black fog slowly flowed once again. A face that was filled with a dark solemnness was revealed. Protector Wu's eyes were dense as he looked at Xiao Yan and said, "What arrogant words. This secret technique might significantly raise your strength, but there is ultimately a time limit. Once the time limit of the secret technique is reached, you will just be a useless person. Before that happens, there's more than enough time to kill you." Xiao Yan smiled. However, this smile was filled with killing intent. "What arrogance." Protector Wu coldly laughed. However, his voice had just sounded when he saw Xiao Yan's body suddenly tremble. A chill surged into Protector Wu's heart when Xiao Yan's body trembled. His sharp instincts over the years maneuvered his body as he hurriedly withdrew in a lightning-like manner. Just when Protector Wu had just taken 2 steps back, the space in front of him suddenly fluctuated. A ghost-like figure suddenly appeared. The heavy ruler, which was covered by a jade-green flame, carried a terrifying force that caused his skin to feel a chill as it furiously hacked down. The heavy ruler adhered to the front of Protector Wu as it narrowly passed him. Although it failed to make contact, the heat contained on it still caused Protector Wu's face to instantly turn bright red. Protector Wu's body swiftly moved back after the ruler missed. A cold sweat involuntarily appeared in his heart. His back was covered in perspiration. If he had not reacted quickly earlier, it was likely that he would have been turned into mincemeat from Xiao Yan's slamming ruler attack. This brat's speed has become very fast after using that secret technique. Even I am unable to follow him. Protector Wu involuntarily felt some anger from embarrassment after the cold perspiration appeared. He let out a low furious roar. "This protector doesn't believe that you, as a younger generation, can flip the sky around when even Yao Chen was unable to escape my hands." The furious roar had just sounded when Protector Wu abruptly changed the seal formed by his hands. One could hear a clanging sound as numerous dark black chains shot out of the black fog. Looking from a distance, they appeared just like an enormous spider web. Protector Wu was located in the middle of that large spider web, appearing just like a great demon. A low cry was emitted from the black fog. Immediately, numerous black shadows carried a sharp screech as they surged out of the black fog. These black shadows had just appeared when they adhered to the black-colored chains that had spread apart. After the approach of these black shadows, the black-colored chains appeared like numerous ferocious mouths that swallowed these black shadows. Immediately, strange, black glows began to linger over the chains. 100 soul-locking sky python. After swallowing the black shadows, the black-colored chain became more unusual. Immediately, a dense, cold cry suddenly sounded. The numerous black-colored chains, that reached toward the sky, immediately emitted a clanging sound as they bunched together. In merely an instant, they turned into a large, black python that seemed alive. The black python was formed from many chains. At a glance, it seemed to be emitting a strange, metallic feeling. Black fog lingered over it as a kind of terrifying, cold aura spread from it. It appeared as though it was a large snake in some deep ravine, causing one to feel a fear by simply looking at it. "Go!" The black fog wiggled as a dense, cold voice sounded. The enormous black python's large eyes immediately displayed a black glint. It swung its tail, tore through the space, and rushed towards Xiao Yan in a lightning-like manner. Xiao Yan remained in the sky. His eyes were icy cold as he looked at the large, black python that was jolting over with the sound of rushing wind. He inhaled a gentle breath before suddenly tightly clenching the heavy Xian ruler in his hand. His body advanced instead of withdrawing. In front of many startled eyes, he used a fierce momentum similar to colliding meteorites as he charged toward that enormous, black python, flame-splitting tsunami. Xiao Yan's body had just moved when the heavy ruler was suddenly swung. A large ruler glow, 100 feet large, shot from the tip of his heavy ruler. Immediately, it ruthlessly hacked against the black python. Wave after wave of golden metallic sounds erupted. Sparks shot in all directions. However, this attack merely caused the black python's body to tremble a little. 6-joint body flowing ruler, 6-joint flame. Xiao Yan's expression was dark and chilly after the ruler attack fell. He changed his ruler technique and another sharp ruler glow, that caused some Ice River Valley's elders to feel their skin turning numb again, struck the black python. The hacking this time around caused some of the black-colored chains to emit a sharp screech. They had actually broken apart. Xiao Yan's body moved closer to the large python. The Black Python, that had been ruthlessly hit twice by Xiao Yan, unleashed a counterattack under Protector Wu's control. One could see it opening its large mouth as a viscous black fog explosively shot forth. The interior of the black fog contained countless sharp screeches that caused one's soul to feel a piercing pain. Bang! The black air shot over in an explosive fashion. However, Xiao Yang's forward-charging body did not pause because of it. A jade-green flame surged out of his body and formed a fire curtain in front of him. The vicious, black fog emitted a sizzling white smoke when it came into contact with the fire curtain before being annihilated. Xiao Yan easily blocked the attack by the Black Python. After which, his body moved, and he appeared in front of it. He flipped his hand and the heavy ruler was withdrawn into his storage ring. Seals were formed in a lightning-like manner by his hands as a bright crystal globe swiftly agglomerated, open mountain seal. Xiao Yan's hand seal suddenly trembled. His eyes were icy cold as his left hand suddenly struck forward. It carried a vast, mighty strength as it ruthlessly landed on the Black Python's forehead. Many chains on the forehead of the Black Python were blasted apart after his palm fell. Tons of cold, black air seeped out. Xiao Yan's left hand fell while his right hand struck forward once again, flipping seal. The left palm spit mountains while the right hand flipped seas. By relying on the frightening strength that had been obtained with the Skyfire 3 mysterious change, Xiao Yan had used the first two seals of the God Seal skill together. If Zuna were to see such mastery, she would involuntarily let out a gasp of surprise. The sea-flipping seal was accompanied by a shocking, majestic strength as it violently struck the head of the enormous python in front of many stunned eyes. Bang! The body of the enormous python slowly stiffened. A moment later, a low and deep noise sounded. One could see its body slowly collapse, transforming into a countless number of cracked chains. They blasted apart amid wave after wave of sharp screeches. The dark soul python that Protector Wu had spent a great amount of effort to create had crumbled in the face of Xiao Yang's string of fierce Do techniques. While looking at the dark soul python, which had been killed by Xiao Yang in a lightning bolt-like fashion before it could be of much use, even Protector Wu, himself, felt a great disbelief. His eyes were startled as he looked at the haughty figure in the air. His breath had yet to be even emitted from his throat when his eyes suddenly shrank. The figure in the air slowly disappeared. At the same time, the space in front of Protector Wu became distorted. A figure mysteriously appeared. That young face was wearing a ferocious smile. His hand contained an exquisite and pretty lotus that was quietly rotating. "This palm is for my teacher." The ferociousness on Xiao Yang's face slowly spread. At the same time, the fire lotus in his hand was shot out in a lightning-like fashion. Finally, it was violently pressed into Protector Wu's body in front of his shocked eyes. Bang! A soul-stirring sound once again exploded. The soul-stirring explosion sounded. A surging fire wave swept through the sky at this moment. The fire wave rolled and spread. The high temperature caused the city, which had turned icy cold because of the cold air covering it, to swiftly become warm. Countless numbers of eyes all over the city watched the fire wave spreading across the sky. Their eyes were filled with shock. Within less than 5 minutes, Xiao Yan had completed a perfect counterattack and turned the situation of him being continuously defeated around. By relying on his 2-star Do Zone strength, he had defeated Protector Wu, whose strength had reached that of an 8-star Do Zone. Such a situation was extremely unbelievable to everyone's eyes. The gap between every star in the Do Zone class was unusually wide. Attempting to fight an opponent across stars was not something an ordinary person could accomplish, yet the situation appearing in front of them caused the skin on the heads of quite a number of people to become numb. This fellow was really far too abnormal. Qian Shi's group swiftly pulled some distance away in the face of the fire wave that was spreading over. His expression changed a little as he looked at the spreading fire wave. The frightening fighting strength that Xiao Yan had suddenly unleashed caused even him to feel somewhat afraid. The continuous string of high-class Do skills earlier possessed a destructive strength that was far too strong. Qian Shi turned his head. He exchanged looks with a couple of Ice River Valley's elders. Some killing intent flashed across his eyes as he did so. This person already had such an advantage at such a young age. If he were allowed to grow, it was likely that he would become a great enemy of the Ice River Valley in the future. Therefore, this person must not be allowed to live. The members of the Yi clan within the Yi clan manor watched the extremely intense battle in the sky. They involuntarily inhaled a deep breath of cool air, especially Yi Zhong. His eyes revealed his disbelief. He had never expected this young man, who appeared ordinary on the surface, to be this terrifying once he erupted. No wonder Xinlan is so certain that he can save our Yi clan. This person is indeed extraordinary. The spreading fire wave in the sky finally disappeared in front of a countless number of gazes. The scene within was also gradually revealed. The first thing that entered one's sight was the young man with his tidy clothes. The soul-stirring explosion from earlier did not cause him the slightest injury. His aura was still strong and mighty, causing one to feel shocked. There was a black figure suspended in the air opposite him. Clearly, that figure was Protector Wu, who had suffered a heavy blow from the Fire Lotus. However, at this moment, the permeating black fog around him had been completely exhausted. Having lost the cover of the black fog, Protector Wu's somewhat illusionary body was exposed in front of a countless number of eyes, sparking numerous exclamations. It is actually a spiritual body. This Hall of Souls is indeed strange. Even the protectors in the hall are spiritual bodies. No wonder they are gathering souls from all over the place. Could it be due to this? Protector Wu's eyes became slightly gloomy after hearing the many private conversations that were transmitted over. That Fire Lotus explosion from Xiao Yan earlier had destroyed his strongest defense. At the same time, it had caused him to suffer a serious injury. That jade-green Fire Lotus seemed to possess the effect of burning a soul, causing his entire body to be filled with an intense pain. Protector Wu's gaze flickered. His eyes were filled with unwillingness as he stared at Xiao Yan. However, he still felt extremely shocked at the frightening fighting strength that Xiao Yan had displayed earlier. Back then, when he had met Xiao Yan for the first time, Xiao Yan was merely a member of the younger generation who had yet to even reach the Do Huang class. Even after borrowing Yao Zhen's spiritual strength, he had only just managed to reach the Do Zone class. In his eyes, Xiao Yan had been a weak ant. Now, however, the person who was once an ant in his eyes had completely defeated him. If he had not unleashed all of the spiritual aura in his body at a critical moment, it was likely that he would have died to that Fire Lotus. This brat was able to break into the hall twice. He does indeed have some ability. Protector Wu clenched his teeth. He seemed to have miscalculated the situation today. He had never expected the ant back then to be able to grow to this unbelievable stage after training for a few short years. Looks like I need to return and transmit this information so the Hall of Souls will dispatch some additional protectors over. This thought had just flashed through Protector Wu's heart when his heart abruptly tightened. His feet stepped on the ground as he hurriedly withdrew. When his body was withdrawing, a strange figure appeared at the spot where he was located earlier. A fist, that was wrapped by a jade-green flame, violently smashed against empty air. Some ripples even formed in the space where the fist landed. Once you have lost the black fog, you experts from the Hall of Souls are equivalent to a tiger having lost its claws. You pose no threat. A cold smile surfaced on Xiao Yan's face after his fist missed. His body shook and mysteriously disappeared. Protector Wu felt a chill rising in his heart when he saw Xiao Yan's figure disappear once again. This brat's speed was really too terrifying. He would not be afraid if he was still in his peak condition. However, after the Fire Lotus attack, his soul had already suffered a serious injury. He could no longer keep up with Xiao Yan's speed. Protector Wu's foot stepped against empty air. His figure transformed into a black shadow as it withdrew with lightning-like speed, but his withdrawing figure suddenly stiffened. His face was filled with shock as he hurriedly turned around. Black fog surged onto his hand and countless black shadows surged out of the black fog while emitting a sharp screech. After which, they suddenly exploded with a bang. The explosion formed a fierce circular ripple that spread apart. However, when it spread to a certain empty spot in the air, a fist with a burning jade-green flame viciously struck out. Protector Wu's attack was shattered until it withdrew. Immediately, Xiao Yan's attack penetrated through the remnant wave from the explosion and heavily smashed into Protector Wu's chest. Boom! Protector Wu's mouth immediately emitted a miserable cry after he was ruthlessly struck by a palm. His illusionary figure swiftly vibrated as his expression turned ghastly white. If this punch of Xiao Yan had not been blocked by the remnant waves of the exploding spirits, it was likely that it would have taken Protector Wu's life. Protector Wu borrowed this pushing force and his body flew back with lightning-like speed. A somewhat panicking screech was involuntarily emitted. Elder Qianxi, lend me a hand. Xiao Yan's ghost-like figure once again appeared in front of Protector Wu after the roar had just sounded. His face was lifted into a savage smile as a fist ruthlessly smashed against Protector Wu's head. If this punch made contact, Protector Wu's soul would definitely be shattered on the spot. Bang! A fist was swung. However, just when it was about to smash into Protector Wu's head, an elderly figure appeared in a lightning-like manner. His shriveled hand grabbed Xiao Yan's fist. Two frightening forces erupted from the point of contact before transforming into an airwave that spread apart. Young man, why is there a need to have such a strong killing aura? Qianxi held his snake-shaped walking stick. His other hand was grabbing Xiao Yan's fist as he slowly inquired, "Are you finally unable to endure any longer?" Xiao Yan's face gradually turned gloomy upon seeing Qianxi intervening. He let out a cold laugh before his leg gave a kick. A sharp force formed a blade at the tip of his toes while emitting a dark chill, bang. Qianxi's expression was as deep as water. The snake-shaped walking stick in his hand shook strangely and blocked Xiao Yan's kick. Immediately, his body swiftly took a couple of steps back and brought Protector Wu, who was behind him, away at the same time. "Elder Qianxi, help me capture this brat. The Hall of Souls will give you a big thanks. If you feel that it is troublesome, you can also just delay him. I have already unleashed a signal. Soon, there will be some experts from the Hall of Souls who will come to lend a hand. At that time, this brat will definitely have difficulty escaping." Protector Wu's eyes were vicious as they stared at Xiao Yan. His tone was dense when he spoke. At this moment, he also understood that with his strength alone, it was impossible to capture Xiao Yan. If he were to fight alone, he might even end up perishing in Xiao Yan's hands. He had narrowly kept his life during the few exchanges earlier. If it was not due to his luck, it was likely that he would have already died. Qianxi smiled and nodded in the face of Protector Wu's words. There would be quite a great benefit if it was possible to befriend a powerful faction like the Hall of Souls. Additionally, he already had a killing intent towards Xiao Yan in his heart. Naturally, he would not reject Protector Wu's request. "Protector Wu, please rest assured. You can leave him to my Ice River Valley," Qianxi softly laughed. After which, his dark, dense eyes were turned to Xiao Yan. He waved his hand gently and said, "Bing Xian, Bing Hua, this brat is a little strange. The two of you should join hands with me and use the fastest speed to capture him." The two Ice River Valley's elders by the side were startled when they heard his words. They immediately replied with some hesitation, "Old Shi, there are so many people watching. Isn't it a little inappropriate for the three of us to attack a member of the younger generation together?" "Younger generation?" Qianxi coldly laughed when he heard their question. He looked at the two of them and said, "Even if the two of you were to join hands to deal with this brat, it is likely that you would meet your doom, yet you dare address him as someone from the younger generation?" Bing Xian and Bing Hua were startled. Immediately, they felt some embarrassment. The strength of the two of them had only just reached that of 7-star Do zones. They were much weaker compared to Protector Wu. The miserable ending of Protector Wu earlier had been witnessed by them. If Qianxi had not intervened, it was likely that he would have died to Xiao Yan's hands. Therefore, they were unable to find anything to refute Qianxi's words. After all, his words were indeed true. Bing Xian and Bing Hua exchanged glances with one another before clenching their teeth and nodding their heads. Immediately, they moved their bodies and formed a triangular formation with Qianxi, surrounding Xiao Yan in the process. Sharp auras slowly locked onto Xiao Yan. Numerous exclamations were immediately emitted from Yi City when they saw this scene in the sky. This Ice River Valley intended to deploy 3 elders at the same time to deal with that unfamiliar young man. The questioning of others is merely just empty words. True reputation will only exist in the hands of those who survive. Those who bother about empty reputations will sooner or later perish. Qianxi ignored the uproar below as his gaze slowly focused on Xiao Yan. Finally, he uttered those words in a slow manner. "The you after using the Skyfire 3 mysterious change is indeed very strong. However, you cannot turn the situation around today. If you surrender now, you will still be able to avoid suffering." Xiao Yan scoffed at Qianxi's words. His eyes swept around him, and his expression slowly became grave. 2 7-star Do zones and 1 Do zone at the peak. With this lineup, it was really not difficult to capture and kill him. However, this was on the precondition of Xiao Yan not using his other trump cards. Unfortunately, Xiao Yan's expression gradually became calm. His hands were pressed gently together. After which, they formed many strange seals. Following the changing seals, the temperature around him suddenly soared. Part 1 end here.